Live changerously. What this means is not to be reckless, but to seek the discomfort of risk with intention for the specific objective of bringing the changes that you want to see. This idea of living changerously means learning to walk hand in hand with your fear, not against it. It's not a headwind, it's a scared child. Remember, failure was part of the objective of entering the gym this morning.
Are there things in your business that are worse off for having you involved in them?
How can I use my business as a way to be there for my family more?
Those outputs can only be reined in and intentionally developed or directed by managing the inputs.
Forced us eventually to take over 2 years of our life to dig out of just to get to zero.
You don't have the things from the places you haven't gone to.
Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. The flies come for the poo, right? There's a push-pull effect with all of your marketing, and it needs to be pushing away the customers that are not a good fit and drawing in the ones that are.
Hey, welcome to all of you, bandits and chilies. This episode is called Live Changerously. Now, this phrase popped into my head when I was going for a night walk with the pram to get our 16-month-old to sleep, and I loved the phrase, and I thought to myself, there's no way that I am the first one to think of this, right? Surely. And so when I got home, I Googled it, and to my surprise, no, just kidding. I am not the first to have made that wordplay. However, there doesn't really seem to be as much on this phrase as I was expecting, and certainly not from the angle of meaning that I was kind of thinking of it from. So I want to take from this phrase connections of themes that have been kind of developing in the past few episodes, specifically how discomfort is the ravine between your wants and your desires. Wants wanting you to stay safe, desires calling you forward to growth through risk. How stretching outside of your comfort zone acclimates your central nervous system to new ranges of safety, and how all of that together allows you to step into a new identity, unlocking your potential and becoming more. Now, the next part of my journey into this phrase was looking at the origins of live dangerously. Do you know where that came from? I had no idea, and I was shocked to find that it is originally attributed to Friedrich Nietzsche, which is fascinating to me because I've been reading a bit of him lately, and this is an excerpt of his writings where the phrase live dangerously originates from. He said, "For believe me, the secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously. Build your cities on the slopes of Vesuvius. Send your ships into uncharted seas. Live at war with your peers and yourself. Be robbers and conquerors as long as you cannot be rulers and possessors, you seekers of knowledge. Soon the age will be past when you could be content to live in hidden forests like shy deer. At long last the search for knowledge will reach out for its due. It will want to rule and possess, and you with it." I love this quote. It really resonates with me, and I hope that it does with you too. But just this combination of ideas, the need to live fruitfully, not just to live, and how this requires embracing danger and discomfort. Again, it's a perfect dovetail with that wants versus desires episode. Building cities on the slopes of Vesuvius. This is such a good line because we have this tendency to attempt to insulate ourselves from risk and to prepare and wait for the right time for things and so on, even though in reality, the fundamental nature of our existence is like an active volcano. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. It is impossible to really insulate ourselves from the underlying risks of human existence, and there never really is a perfect time. So what is there to do but to build the cities anyway, in spite of the fact that we are on volatile ground? And being at war with yourself, again, it's a perfect parallel to the wants and desires episode. And also this idea of needing to be disruptive, to show up, to take space, to make noise, and to stop letting life just happen to you. So as I said, I basically just fell into this rabbit hole, and now you're in here with me. So let's see what else we can find. Live changerously. To me, from my night walk, what this means is not to be reckless, but to seek the discomfort of risk with intention for the specific objective of bringing the changes that you want to see. As a way of life, this is self-perpetuating because as you grow, as you change, you start to see further. You expand your thinking of what can change. So living changerously becomes an integration of risk into who you are, embracing change as a part of your nature and your striving. It's not about surviving change or just reacting to it, but initiating it, instigating that change. The reason I strongly suspect that you, dear listener, will resonate with this is that if you are running a service business, you have likely experienced what Michael Gerber describes as an entrepreneurial seizure. He kind of talks about this as almost a purely negative thing, a technician such as a baker thinking, I could run this place better, and so setting off to open a bakery. And then they discover after their entrepreneurial seizure wears off that they are ill-equipped for almost everything involved in running a bakery, which has surprisingly little to do with making bread. But I don't think that it's a negative thing in and of itself. Sometimes that seizure of inspiration that impels actions which perhaps we are not ready for, it's necessary to get us moving. And then once we are moving, we have two choices. We can either figure it out, grow, learn, and become someone who can run a bakery, or we can freak out and decide to go back to just making the bread. There's nothing really wrong with either path technically, but I personally just don't understand the back to the bread path, and I suspect that you don't either. You're trying to grow your business and figure the things out, and that's what makes you my kind of crazy person, because really, figuring the things out is scary, and it involves a lot of the unknown and shining a spotlight on your inadequacies so that you can see where you need to grow, which is a call to change. So live changerously. Not everyone does. Most people respond to that call differently to you, and they optimize for comfort and safety. It's kind of like asking someone what their ideal holiday would be. Some people want to sleep in. They want to lounge by the pool. They just want to relax. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my thing. My kind of holiday is actually a lot of hard work, to be honest. I want to go hiking, camping, caving, swimming, climbing, and exploring. I can lounge around at home, and if I'm going to sleep in, like, perhaps in 25 years' time because we have young kids, but if I was going to do that, I wouldn't do it on holiday. We're somewhere cool. I want to get out and see the cool stuff. Anyway, that's all preferences, each to their own. But for the crazy ones amongst us who want to push the limits of what we are now in favor of what we can be, to live changerously, we still have that inner conflict between wants and desires. As a quick one-line recap of that previous episode, wants are reflective of your subconscious mind, including the amygdala and striatum, which are optimizing for the best of how things have been and are completely change-averse. Whereas desires emanate from your conscious mind, the prefrontal cortex, and these desires call you up to extend yourself and become something more, inherently requiring change. So between the two lies the ravine of discomfort. So by adopting the mentality to live changerously, you will consistently seek changes, both big and small. Then, the consistent seeking of change itself becomes a bit more normal and a bit more safe for your subconscious brain. Your system adapts and learns that not every unknown means danger. Discomfort is not death. Change is not trauma. This fundamental internal conflict is between protection and expansion. That's never going away fully, but we can intentionally lean into expansion in ways that honor our subconscious mind's need for protection and, in doing so, reduce the dissonance between those two modes of being. Back to the holiday analogy. This kind of fits well because all of the things that I listed that would make my ideal holiday, that's not necessarily my wife's preference. So in a lot of ways, my wife could be a good stand-in representation of the amygdala and striatum, optimizing for safety, survival, weighing up the cost to benefit ratio, and all of that. Meanwhile, my style of holiday is ideological and not even necessarily practical. I'm over here waving around all of these desires about mountaintops and wild animals, and Michaela is thinking about having enough energy, a nice hot shower, a comfortable bed, and keeping our kids alive. So, for a successful trip, compromises need to be made. We need to push the boundaries and have some adventure in a safe, measured, manageable way. It's the same in your head. There's a therapeutic framework called internal family systems, and it was derived from family therapy, working out the dynamics of how the 14-year-old daughter operates when her 16-year-old brother is around compared to when he's not around, and what it's like when mum and dad communicate effectively. All of the variables and dynamic shifts which inform how the family operates and finding ways to better optimize for a healthier home. Well, that is family systems, but internal family systems takes that idea and puts it all in one person's head. You have these different parts of you that are optimizing for different things and that all have different needs. In the same way that it would not be a good trip if I totally disregarded my wife's preferences and needs, when we try to grow and strive and change and become, we need to respect that there are no inherently bad parts in our head. No one is the villain. Each part is trying to do the right thing by the whole you. They just have different approaches, different concerns, and different objectives. Additionally, they may be running with outdated software. There's parts of your brain that have crucial developments lodged within them from when you were 5 and when you were 13 and so on. And maybe at that time, you learned that being quiet kept the peace, or that sarcasm diffused tension, or that you need to overachieve to get attention. You're in the heart of 2025, and some of your software hasn't updated since 2007 or 1998. But just because those responses may be maladaptive does not mean that they are malicious. You're not broken for having this kind of stuff. Everyone has this sort of thing going on in one form or another. Some parts of you are just trying to help the only way that they know how. When my 5-year-old tries to help out in the only way that he knows how, it can be frustrating. Sometimes our internal 5-year-olds do the same thing. It's like, come on man, just show a little more coordination with that cutlery. But we know to give our kids grace because, hey, he's just learning. It's a lot to figure out. And when we have some space and objectivity from the situation, we can think the same thing about our internal 5-year-olds. Come on, man, why don't you just tell them what you really think? Why don't you just do the thing that you said you were going to do? But then, when we have a little bit more space and even more objectivity from the situation, we can recognize, hey, he's still learning. That part might still be 5 years old, trying to make the knife and the fork work together. As with the family holiday, all of these parts are along for the ride. So we can't just bully our way into transformation. Trust needs to be built with our nervous system. It is a relationship. There are these protective elements inside your head that might freak out when you have something like an entrepreneurial seizure or you decide to make some radical change. And it can help to recognize that each of them was once a child just trying to survive, trying to stay safe and out of trouble. A couple of months ago, I took my 5-year-old camping, just him and I. He got a bit freaked out when it got dark, and in particular on the second night, when he had the context of how that felt the previous night, he really freaked out once the light started to fade. To me, this idea of living changerously means learning to walk hand in hand with your fear, not against it. It's not a headwind, it's a scared child. So as with Felix, when I was camping with him, I'm not trying to get past that fear, I'm trying to help him work through it. I'm not trying to get rid of the problem, but I'm trying to edify him, to call him up to something new, and to help him to contextualize that experience as something that was really scary, but it turned out okay, and we had a great time. And part of that great time that we had when we were camping required us to do that scary thing. So, what is it for you? What gives your personal ravine of discomfort its name? Because guess what? There are probably plenty of people who would be totally comfortable in that ravine. They may not find your ravine problematic at all. So, what are its features? What is it about the journey from where you are towards the things that you desire, which is intimidating for you? What makes those shadowy places so dark? What are the animals lurking in the bushes? Putting words to this invites you to take the next step into it. What could your next step into that ravine of discomfort be? What would it require of you to take that next step? What is the cave that you most fear to enter? If you are struggling to find answers to these questions, why not skip the ravine and go straight to the desires? What is it that you are questing for by means of your business? What are you striving after? What is your why? Why are you doing the things that you are doing? Once you can define that, then you will probably be able to see the ravine of discomfort that lies between you and that thing. Because it is there. If you are striving for things that you don't yet have or to become a version of yourself that is more than you currently are, there is a ravine of discomfort in between points A and B on that journey. Otherwise, you would already have the things and you would already be the person. To scale this down a notch, because sometimes defining your why can be really difficult and you might feel like you need to have it all figured out and you just don't yet, that's fine too. But what is your life and business demanding of you right now, which you are reluctant to give it? Maybe in your life, it's a change in habits and behaviors around diet and exercise. Or perhaps it is taking time away from the business to actually spend living. Maybe your business is demanding better solutions from you, better systems, better talent on your team. And those ravines of discomfort around the things that you are reluctant to do that are being demanded of you, they tend to be easier to identify. Maybe you have hang-ups about hiring a salesperson. Maybe you feel that you cannot take that 2-week trip with the family because the business will just crash and burn and seek to exist without you for 336 hours. Investigate those ravines of discomfort. What is life demanding of you right now? What does your business need from you right now? And why is it that you are hesitant to do that next thing? What next step could you take in that direction? How can you, even in a small way, step into living changerously? I have an expression that I like to whip out pretty often, which is, you should put that on a shirt, because oftentimes talking with people, they say things that just kind of belong on a shirt. Well, with this one, I've gone and I've done that. I've made some Live Changerously shirts because I wanted one. The design is per the cover art of this episode. If you'd like one too, jump into the Family Oriented Business Growers School Group, join via warplan.au, and not only will they be available for sale, but I'm also going to give one away in the next week or two. So jump in and get amongst it. That's it. Have an awesome day. Make someone else's day awesome. I love you just the appropriate amount, like take whatever is weird and then take a healthy step backwards from that line. That is exactly how much. If it's weird, you're the weirdo. Catch ya. Bye. Hey, you're a family-oriented business grower. You should join our free group for family-oriented business growers. It's like the perfect place for someone your size and shape. Join via warplan.au, link in the description, and whilst you're there you can book a free clarity call with me to help identify the next 3 dominoes you need to knock over in your business.